It's Michael with Bay Area Hiking Guides, giving that information, that knowledge to go out there and hike with confidence. And in this video, we're going to be talking about rattlesnakes. Now, I did a brief video years back about rattlesnakes, but I'm going to get more deeper into rattlesnakes, the facts of what rattlesnakes are all about, what's going on, because there are so many people out there that state a few things that are actually not true. Alright guys, well, welcome back. Let's say you're out there, you're about to take out on your hike, and you're going to do it a little adventuring. Get your backpack. Just go, oh crap. Every time. So let's say you're going out on your adventure, you're getting ready to go, you got your backpack, you got your water, you got all that stuff, and you're good to go. And you got in the mind of your head all these worries that you have about rattlesnakes and what they could do and venomous creatures. I mean, Hollywood really blows it up quite a bit, don't they? With all the movies we have about snakes on a plane, what are you going to do? How's it going to go? And what the hell's going on around here, Bill? Now, I might not be going to Death Valley here. I don't have the sand dunes to worry about and a few other snakes that I have to constantly have in my head here. But we do have some awesome places to check out in the Bay. I just wanted to show Death Valley because I'm kind of in a Death Valley mood. So as you get into the spring, rattlesnakes tend to, breed quite a bit. They let out the little ones and they start heading out and enjoying their lives. And this takes place in spring. It also takes place in fall. And what we have here is the Western Pacific rattlesnake. That's what we have here in California. You can call it the Pacific rattlesnake or Western rattlesnake or a few other common names that are out there. But Western Pacific rattlesnake is what we got here. And that's what we typically see commonly out here. And you see that the black and white stripe at the very bottom, where that tail is. And, they're fun. They're just hanging out and they have a real key job to make sure that things are under control. Spring, where you're most likely going to be seeing those babies come on out in the spring. And then we have the fall, the summer, and then we have the fall, which is also a big mating season. Good times. And then when we get to the winter, you don't see them as often. It's not that you can't see a rattlesnake in the winter around here in the Bay Area, but they tend to go dormant. They'll tend to go underneath areas and stay dormant for best as they possibly could. So a lot of times when rain comes down and it breaks away a cliffside or something and a bunch of soil, say a landslide comes about and comes down, you can sometimes see snakes that'll appear out of there because they're all hanging out underneath the ground or doing ways to just kind of stay out of that cold temperatures. Typically rattlesnakes, the ones that we have here, typically like temperatures anywhere from 70 to 90 degrees. So a lot of people think that if it's sunny outside, it's really, really hot, it's 115 degrees, that the rattlesnakes are going to just be everywhere. And actually, they prefer the shade just like you do. So they don't want to go anywhere higher than 90 degrees. They tend to stay relatively in the shade in the cooler areas or during, sundown or during the night where it's pretty warm, but really not hot. Those warm nights in the summer. They love that. They're more likely going to be out. So if you're going to the shade because it's really hot, they're going to be doing the same thing. In fact, when a rattlesnake is born, it's born directly through, so it's not in an egg hatching about like Jurassic Park and then, none of that stuff at all. It actually, what happens is that the snake itself goes directly out, so there's no, I don't know the proper term. You're dealing with a non-professional. So once it's out, it's pretty much knows exactly what it needs to do. It's well aware of how to live life. It's not like it has to go meet up with some, guru underneath some rock somewhere and have a deep discussion about how to be a rattlesnake. It's pretty much out the gate, and then it's just ready to go wander through Earth. So a lot of people think that rattlesnakes, the baby rattlesnakes, are the ones that are really the ones you want to worry about, and they're dangerous, and they have more venom, and they just keep biting them, and you can't stop them, and they just... Stop. I don't know who started this rumor, but I'm going to fine you. So commonly stated among so many people, except for snake experts. But there's a lot of people out there that state this, and it's not true at all. It is a load of crud. It is the biggest myth. It is not true at all. There's no evidence to prove this. So let me break it down to you. When a baby rattlesnake is born, out it goes, they have glands, and these glands carry a certain amount of venom. The funny thing is the venom that the rattlesnakes have is actually less potent than that of a black widow. Black widow is 15 times more potent, but the quantity that a rattlesnake puts out is more. But then there's the neurotoxins that the black widows have, and well, they're also a really shy species, so you don't really see them going around biting everybody. We'll get back on rattlesnakes. The thing about rattlesnakes is so they have the gland that stores all the venom. Now, the amount of venom that they could have is anywhere from 150 milligrams to 850 milligrams. It depends on their health, when they just last ate, which they can go without eating for quite some time. I read that it was somewhere, they can go like 3 months to a year, if possible, without eating. I don't know how true that is, but I know they can go a long time without eating. And the other interesting thing is that they have this gland, so depending on what that condition is, whether they're adult or whether they're a baby or whether they're more healthy, whether they've not eaten in a while, the gland will store more venom in there, so you're getting a higher count. The baby's output is way smaller than an adult by a long shot. It's a small amount of output, and the quantity of that output is smaller. So if you look at a baby rattlesnake, you're looking at what, like 200 milligrams, and then versus 800 milligrams or 750. So it's a very small range. Also, snakes aren't going to be putting out all the venom they possibly have unless some circumstance is going to make them do that. They're not going to put out a bunch of venom. They just ain't going to do it. And the reason for this is because they're going to store some just in case something was to occur where they've had to use it again, or in case of a situation occurs. If they let all that venom out, then what the heck are they going to eat for a while, huh? They're not going to have any more venom left to go and take their prey down. They're going to have to wait and then sit there with their clock and wait for a fill-up. The adults have more output, more quantity, so per bite that they're going to be giving out versus the baby. The only dangerous thing about a baby rattlesnake is when they're young, they're not going to make that rattle sound when they're pretty young, and you won't even see it. So it could be a little confusing. And the other thing is they hide really well, so they could get into the grass or leaves or something of that nature, and they can go in there and hide pretty frankly well, so it's a lot easier to step on them, which you wouldn't want to have. So that's the only thing that you want to put a little bit more caution out there, but it's nothing to do with the fact that if they bite you. In all cases, if you ever get bit by a snake, it's always a good thing to do is treat it like it is venom. Treat it like it's venom, treat it like it's a serious situation, because you might not just know. Don't go out there and try to kill the snake to say, hey bro, I got that guy that got your leg, man. Yeah. Not mess with it. Don't, if you can able to get a photo where you can kind of take a photo of it and someone at the hospital can ID what the snake was, great. But other than that, leave it alone, because when you start trying to hit it with a stick or you want to crush it with a rock or something, that is where somebody else might get bit. And that's where they're going to start going, hey, you know what? I gave you a warning and now you're being a dick. Usually when it's, and now sometimes rattlesnakes, they'll bite and they'll dry bite. So this dry bite takes place usually 30 to 40% of the victims, where you're not going to get any of that venom in there, or you might just get a little bit. And sometimes when they do this, it's just one bite whole versus two, but not always the case. Sometimes it'll just be one and you will get the venom, and sometimes, mostly with the venom, it's two. You'll start getting the burning. It's going to be a lot of pain. You might get flu-like symptoms, headaches, stuff of that nature when it's, got the venom in there. But like I said, all cases you want to treat this like an emergency and seek medical help. When you're bit, your blood rate, your heart rate needs to be controlled. I don't know, it's a really hard thing to do. When a snake just bit you, you're gonna be freaking out. It's really gonna be a really hard thing for you to handle. And the best thing to do is to try to control your blood rate. And one way to do that is to start breathing. Just breathing in, relaxing your body. If you want to breathe through the nose because you're really into that, fine. But as long as you're breathing in some way and relaxing your body, and getting everything to relax as best as you possibly can, calm down. If you've got somebody with you that can help you, where you've got a phone. Everybody's got a phone these days. We can contact somebody. Great. And you usually have about 40 minutes to an hour. Now that depends on how much your blood rate is going nuts. If your blood rate spikes, it's going to shorten that time. If you're able to control it, it will help lengthen the time a little bit longer. And then you want to seek that professional help, get somebody to professionally give you the anti-venom and get you back on the road. Okay? The other thing is that when you're out there and you're exploring these adventurous places, always keep your eyes out. Always keep them peeled. Watch where you're going. Like these bushes here. You want to keep an eye on those bushes. See where the eggs are going on. Just watch where you're stepping. Watch where you're sitting down. I mean, to get bit in the butt by a rattlesnake would probably be the most, comforting location, depending on where it hits you. Yeah, I would rather not get bit anywhere. Knock on wood. Okay. Calm down, dog. We're good. We're good. Keep it cool. Keep it cool. Anyway, so you can sit down on the log. It's always good to check the log out, see if the area at all's got any rattlesnakes in there hanging out, if they like those areas. Rocks, rockage. Just look before you sit down. Look before you step. Look around. And just be aware of your surroundings. Because a lot of people are not. They're just on their cell phone. Most victims that are bit by rattlesnakes is actually on the leg or the arm or forearm. Now, how the heck did it get up to the arm and the forearm? They typically are not going to jump all the way up there to get you in the jugular or the arm. I mean, usually it's going to be in your ankle or something of that nature. Also, I read, interesting fact, that most of the bite victims are within the age of 18 and 25. Mostly men. Also, usually intoxicated. Oh, what do you know? That does not surprise me. Which means that these idiots are usually playing around with a snake or trying to prove to their hot girlfriend that they can kill a rattlesnake and just be, cool. So what does that tell you? So just leave them alone. Let them go their way, go around them. Wait it out a little bit if you need to. If it gets in a little curls around and makes a little, kind of what you do with the hose. And if it's doing that, it's kind of in a defense. The rattle there, if it's rattling away, it's telling you, hey, leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered. Okay? Can you imagine if we were going to an in-law's house, we were going to have some Thanksgiving dinner, and all of a sudden, old Fred was like, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to be a complete asshole, and I will punch somebody out if they mess with me. Just forewarning. God, it'd make those days a whole lot easier. Now, not always do these rattlesnakes rattle their tails and then bite. Sometimes they'll bite without rattling their tails. It could be either or. They all have different personalities, just like we do, just like I do, just like you do. My dog does. Okay. Anyway, we get the point. But they have different personalities. Some are calmer. Some are, a little bit more aggressive. Well, I don't even use the word aggressive. Some are just a little bit more toned down. And then some are a little bit more, hey, I'm going to get a little bit more defensive. So they all have different personalities. And I've been around rattlesnakes where I've had to go in tight places where they don't rattle. And one that didn't even rattle, and I went around them in a single track trail, and I didn't have a lot of space, and I got around him. And he was just cool as can be. We actually hung out together and smoked some pot. Actually, I don't smoke pot, but it makes for a cool story. It is so important, it is so key, as all of us know, that we need to treat these snakes with the utmost respect. A lot of people get so caught up in the Hollywood stuff. They all get caught up in that. And they want to know, what to, oh, I got to saw this movie and the snakes were there. Because snakes are always kind of have that bad vibe. They get the bad end of the stick. And they're really just trying to take care of the population of rats and mice and any other rodents that come their way. But they get such a bad rap. And that's where it all starts. So a lot of people tell me, they go, well, we killed the rattlesnake because we don't want it to get our kids. All right. Okay. Why don't you sit down, because we'll have to break it up to you. We need to teach ourselves and teach our children to understand nature, right? And understand the things that have a little bit more leverage than some other things. Say a rattlesnake would have a pretty good amount of leverage. So we need to make sure that we educate our children and educate ourselves and let them know, hey, this is a rattlesnake, leave it alone. Now, when I was a kid, I was actually educated in classes about black widow spiders. And they tell us about the black widow spiders, what they look like, the hourglass. It was things that I was constantly aware of. And I knew how to ID them as a kid, and I knew just to leave it alone. I didn't bother it. It was, oh my gosh, it's a black widow spider. I'm going to... but that's just kind of stuff that you can do. Teach them about a rattlesnake and teach them, by the way, not all black widows have hourglasses. just another kicking fact right there. Because killing the rattlesnake in front of your kids, or the action or talking about the fact that you did that, doesn't send out the right signal to them. Because then we get back into the cycle again, and it starts all over again, and then they're killing them, and then and then it just repeats itself. I can't stand seeing people where they've killed rattlesnakes and I've got a rock on top of the rattlesnake's head and I can see that the head has been smashed in 1,000 times. That's fear to me. That's what it is. You're trying to get something out of your ego, because they're not solving any problems by doing that. Because otherwise I'm going to get a bunch of complaints on Nextdoor that people are having an increased amount of rats or mice in their house. I wonder why. Also, an interesting fact, the wild pigs that we have here, like a roam about, they actually have a resistance to rattlesnake bites. Isn't that something? They actually will eat them too. Those pigs will eat anything. A lot of farmers back in the day would let the pigs go wander about in the fields and just get whatever the hell they wanted to clear the fields out of rattlesnakes. That was kind of cool to read about that. Also, the other thing that's pretty interesting to know about the resistance to rattlesnake venom is the ground squirrels. Not the baby ones, but the actual adult ground squirrels. And the cool thing is the adults will take the shedded skin of a rattlesnake, wrap it around all over in the nest, all over their little puppy paps. You can get a puppy pap for $19.95. 3 easy payments around their babies and around the nest. So when the rattlesnakes come into their dens, they're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Somebody's already been here. Wait, that's me. Well, I've already checked that box. How'd I go? So it's actually really fascinating. So that helps keep them from getting the babies. It doesn't always work, but it is a technique that they do. And the adults are immune to it. So the rattlesnakes tend to just avoid them and move on to their little babies because they're not. So I thought that was pretty cool too. Anyway, so just have a deeper, better respect for these snakes. I run into them occasionally, and a lot of the time I'll stop and I'll let them. I'll make sure people go around it so they're not doing the wrong thing. But I just let them be. I let them be because honestly, if you kill a rattlesnake, it might end up not working out for you down the road because they remember that. The spirit goes off and the spirit remembers. So just have a deep respect for these snakes because they really are playing a crucial role to creating a better ecosystem that we have here. And when you're basing everything off of fear, it's not going to do you any good. It's just not gonna help them out. All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you so much for checking out this video. All the subs that we're getting. We're almost to 1,000. Let's do it. Tell your friends about Bay Area hiking, guys. Get that information and get that all going around in the Bay Area. So everybody knows what's going on. Okay. All right. everybody. All right, guys, have a good one.